Good morning, everybody. Saturday today, or lunch, afternoon, whenever you get an opportunity to see this. Breaking free from distraction and stress has a lot to do with, more to do with than we normally realize, a relationship with our own mind, a relationship with our own thinking. Because the source of the stress is not outside of us, it's actually inside of us. Sophie, what about this perspective on being human and the perspective of thought?
Sure. Well, I actually wanted to share a metaphor, Wilhelm, around this, because sometimes this is really, really hard for us to see as human beings because we're so steeped in our own thinking as reality and truth that it's just kind of hard to actually see it real time and see what's going on. So I'm going to use the metaphor of you sitting in a cinema or bio, I would say.
Bio in Swedish,
in
yes.
Swedish. And I want you just to think back for a second, the last time, and for me, it's probably been about 2 years since we've been at the cinema, but just to sit back and think about what happens in the cinema. So you're sitting in your seat and you're watching this movie on the screen. Now, our life, in one sense, from the moment we're born to the moment we die, is one whole movie. Interesting.
Yes.
So what makes up that movie? Well, again, think of the fact that you're sitting in a cinema, and I'm guessing somewhere in that cinema there's going to be a projectionist with the film, and he's running the film, and he's running it through the projector where there is light. And what you get to see and experience if you're in the movies is the immersive effect of the film that's running through the projector and the projection light, which has been, how should I put it, transferred on screen? I don't know, I'm saying it really badly. Now, what I want to show about this metaphor is simply this. If you went to watch a horror movie, what film is going through the projector? Well, it's frame by frame of horror scenes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. If you went to see a romantic comedy, which some of us might like, you will have frame moment by moment of the romantic comedy where you will see, two people falling in love and so forth. Now, what the film in this metaphor actually is our thinking. So we have moment by moment frames of thinking that when the light catches them, so to speak, get projected into our experience. So the immersive experience that you have in the cinema where you're like, oh no, I hope she doesn't get murdered. Oh my God, he's got a knife. Look behind you. You're so immersed. It's like our own life, right? Now, the metaphor kind of breaks down at the point because you're sitting watching this, but the same thing happens in our mind. We have a moment by moment frame called thinking or thought that is caught up by consciousness, and it's brought to life inside of us and gives us a full-blown experience of life. Now, that full-blown experience of life is needed for us to experience life. So the joy of you looking at a newborn baby, the delight when you see a sunset, the excitement when you get handed, the keys of your new car. All of that is frame by frame, thought by thought, caught by consciousness, giving you this full-on beautiful gift of the experience of life. Now, what happens to us when we get a stressed movie going on is simply that we have stress frame by frame, brought to life by consciousness, and it's on the screen of our experience, and we're going, oh my God, this is terrible, I'm so stressed. Now, what we forget is a couple of things. Again, we're in a metaphor.
Can I jump in?
Sure.
Because when we do sometimes two voices saying the same thing, it's easier for some people to hear. So I like this metaphor a lot, the way you tell it. I heard it before, but I never really liked it, actually, or caught on to it. But now I start to do. We all have consciousness. We are all born with a consciousness. You are conscious, otherwise you wouldn't hear us right now, right? So consciousness is like the bright projector light. We have an experience of life. That's the movie scene. And I've been so immersed in movies, sometimes I forget I'm in a movie theater. I'm just I saw one on the flight back from LA. It was super interesting about the secret war detectives and gang, and I was kind of, "Urgh." So we get so swept away with the movie of life sometimes that we, in a movie theater, our heartbeat goes up and we feel nervous, right? Because we're so engaged in the projection. Now, what we human beings miss that there is this film, especially in the old days, that was this plastic thing moving frame by frame by frame in front of the light of consciousness, and woof, an experience shows up live. Have you ever been home on a Saturday enjoying your weekend and then suddenly, oh shit, I forgot this. I was to send an offer to that customer before the last, and then suddenly your whole experience of that weekend and life just shifts. The only thing that happened was there was a thought of a missed sending of an offer appearing in front of your consciousness, and boom, you were stressed. It's instant by instant. When a new thought comes in, if your consciousness picks it up, sheds light on it, you're suddenly inside of a new world.
Yeah, it's a full-blown experience. It's
Yes.
got feelings attached to it. It's got emotions attached to it, just like it would be in the movie if you're immersed in the movie.
Exactly.
But what we forget is something. We forget that if we have whatever thought we're having or whatever thought is passing through the light of consciousness and being onto the screen and being experienced, is the nature of thought is to flow. So what I mean by that is thoughts arise in our consciousness. They're with us for 5 seconds, sometimes maybe 10. They leave our consciousness and move on. Now that's kind of cool to know, because that means that we're never stuck with a thought that we don't want. And technically we're never stuck with a feeling that we don't want either. And you're going, yeah, well, Fiona, I've been stressed for the last 2 years. So how does that work? Well, what I would say is that kind of the movie is on loop. So the stress movie is still being picked up by the light of consciousness, but it's whoop onto your experience. You feel that, you have emotions around that. But this particular movie is just on a stress loop. And what happens is when it's on a stress loop is we get very concerned, like, oh my gosh, this must be telling me something about me. This must be telling me something about life. This must be telling me something about our relationship. This must be telling me something about my boss. So this stress loop just keeps going around and around and around. And we have that full-blown experience, that feeling and emotion that goes with that. Now, back to the movie. The movie is designed to move frame by frame, and each frame changes to show a new scene. That's exactly what is our experience as well when we let it be that way. So I don't know where I want to go from here with this one.
I think I know where I know
cool.
where I want to go. It's when you are stuck in feelings that are unwanted, worry, stress, concern, distraction, anxiousness, impatience, frustration. You are feeling those feelings because in your consciousness right now, there is a thought frame of something that triggers you to feel anxious, stressed, worried, concerned, and irritated. What human beings try with good intent does, we need to think about that thing then and try to rid ourselves of those feelings. But that's actually no better than, some video players, they have this 5-second, you jump back, this little button, if I want to see that again, or if you want to fast forward, you push the 5-second button 5 times and you're 25 seconds ahead. We push the repeat button on that video or a movie player in this metaphor, right? Oh, I don't like that feeling. What's about that? And then we start to ruminate about it. Oh, I think a bit more about it. Oh, I need to think a bit more about it. I'm thinking more about it. But we don't realize we are creating the same thought again and again and again and again and again. If we can let thoughts be, they let us be. Whatever thinking you can let be, lets you be. Because it'll soon be replaced by something else, something else, something else, something else. We're not trying to tell you to think better thoughts, because that's a pitfall. Life is really hard when you need to manage your thinking all the time. And it's more of a letting go. Okay, I'm worried about that thing. Good. That's glad I catch that thought. Don't go to the externals and try to think more about those. Rather notice, oh, I must have some stressful thinking going on right now, and see if you can let it go. You will soon have better quality thinking occurring.
Yeah, I love that, because that is the nature of thought. The nature of thought is to flow like a movie screen, or sorry, film will flow through the projector. And flow impeded, completely uninhibited. Sorry, I'm using the wrong words.
That's fine.
Completely unhindered.
Yes.
That would be the word.
It's called jet lag, by the way.
It's called, I'm so
Jet lag,
sorry.
yes.
Yeah. So, as we said, if a thought only lasts 5 seconds, a stressful thought will last 5 seconds, and we get to feel it for 5 seconds. Then if we let it be, don't judge it, don't interfere with it, it will pass through the system, because that's how we're designed. We're designed to watch the whole movie life experience, as opposed to be stuck in a loop over and over and over and over again.
A recent example, I boarded the flight from Los Angeles to Sweden. We had invested in business class tickets to be able to sleep through the night on the beds on the flight and come home more rested, I would say, or less tired than otherwise, because that would be worth it, right? We boarded this flight, and that setup of the seats were very different to any plane I boarded. It was some different version, whatever. So I had backwards in the seats, and it wasn't a real bed. It was like something you flip down, and I had some foreigner next to me without any privacy at all. It was like sitting on a train, it's like open. And I'm like, this is not nice. Are we paying this money for this? And my brain started to think, and I got a little irritated, annoyed, and frustrated. And you started, oh, that's not good for you. You were sitting on the other side, so you had nobody beside you, at least, right? And I noticed, okay, well, I let it go. And then the worrying thought came back again. Oh, I'm not paying all this money for this. I could have economy. Home last time I had some huge legs, equally good. And my thoughts came up, and I got irritated. I let them go. And then I got new thoughts, irritation, I let them go. And it kept on for a while. But then if we don't feed the irritation thought, was I caught myself, right, Wilhelm, you have a lot of irritated thinking about this flight, right? Oh yeah, good. I noticed, I let it go. And this is the thing. You need to start to see that you're thinking yourself irritated. It's not the flight or anything, or the neighbor or anything. It ended up being, once I quieted down a bit, one of the best sleeps I ever had on any flight from the US. And it's been a number of them through the years. It's like, I slept way better than you did.
That's right.
And I'm so tall, I'm 2 meters plus, right? So it's a little tricky, but that setting of the seat and whatever was way better, because my knees could go into the neighbor's space a little bit without intruding him, and don't need to make the long story. Point is, same situation, completely different feelings depending on how my thoughts were coming and going. Start to notice this weekend when you get a little annoyed, frustrated, moody, maybe with your family members or something, I don't know. Just notice that it's your thinking that creates the unwanted feelings. It's not them. It's not your dog. We have a dog. It's not the dog. It's just, I think about the dog. Oh, he's so active and soon 2 years. He should be quiet soon. No, it's just thoughts. If two people have a conversation, like Fee and I have a conversation, and I have feelings of irritation in the dialogue, what does that mean? It only means I got some irritated thoughts about something she said, but it's my thoughts, it's my irritation. We are rarely aware of that until we have some training. In a conversation, we speak and I feel irritation. The impulse is to say, you made me irritated, and start fixing that person.
Yeah.
That never works. There is only more irritating thoughts then. Same with stress. That thing stresses me. Wait a minute. My thoughts about that thing stresses me. I let them go and see what new thoughts come up. I once had a participant in a program, 2-day program on personal effectiveness. And in that program, in the first day, I spoke quite a bit about the fact that human beings have thoughts, that we feel our thinking, that stress is not an outside in phenomena. Stress is a phenomena that arises from within and disappears from within. It's just thinking all of it. And she came back the second day and said in an annoyed voice, "What did you do to me yesterday?" When we had the checking in the morning. I was like, why is she so pushy? She said, "What did you do to me yesterday?" And I said, "I don't know. Can you please share a bit more?" And she was, "What did you do?" And it's like I offended her or something. I don't know. And then she was just frustrated because she was something she didn't understand. And I said to her, "Well, you need to explain a bit more what you refer to because I don't understand you." She said, "For about 4 years, I've not been able to sleep one full night. I always wake up super early, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and it's been such a problem for me. I haven't been sleeping. Last night, after having spent the day with you, and you didn't talk about sleep, you didn't talk about eating habits, you didn't talk about anything to do with this thinking or anything. I slept a whole night for the first time seriously in about 4 years. What did you do to me?" That was her question. She couldn't grasp how suddenly, without any doing, any methodology, any technique, she just slept. And I told her, I actually don't know what happened, like a fact of knowing. What I suspect happened was that we talked yesterday about our thoughts being of low quality and high quality. Low quality thinking, meaning being worried, disturbed, too busy mind. If we let our minds be, they get less busy and they slow down and we feel better and we're relaxed. I just talked about these mechanics of the mind. And I said, probably your brain picked up something about that and you let go of thinking so much. That's what I thought happened.
I like that story.
Yes, me too. And even if I tell it right now, I noticed I got a little more quiet needed. Last point before we wrap up this video. What is the natural state for human beings to live from? When we're not revved up in your busy thinking, how do we actually feel? And we just point to it a little in this video. Human beings are naturally in a state of well-being, being well. You don't need to achieve well-being and peace of mind. You don't need to work yourself up to feeling peaceful. Doesn't work that way. When we let go and our minds get a little quiet, the movie stops spinning so quickly, we get in touch with some deeper feelings. The natural state for the human experience as a foundation is that when we slow down and are not lost in unhealthy thinking, we feel peace of mind. We feel calm. We feel connected to other people.
Mm-hmm.
We often feel some appreciation for other people naturally.
Maybe even love.
Maybe even love. Some people say, I feel so creative. I get new ideas. I get insights. Some people say, I just trust. I trust myself. I trust life. Things will work out in some good way after all. So well-being and the absence of stress is not something you achieve by managing your thinking. It's something you reconnect to when you let your busy mind be. So this weekend, notice when your mind gets revved up in opinions and urgency and frustrations and stress, and see if you can notice, oh, my thinking got triggered again. Let it be, and then just notice what happens.
I like that.
Yeah.
I also love it from the point of view of if it's an inside job, like if my thinking is creating the stress inside of me, then the great thing is nothing outside of me has to change for my experience to change. Meaning Wilhelm doesn't have to change, the dog does not have to change, my parents don't have to change, my jet lag doesn't even have to change. And I can have a completely different experience because it's not about the external, it's about what goes on inside of me. And that's kind of cool to realize.
Yes. A new experience for human beings is just one thought away. The experience of less stress or no stress in any given situation is in reality actually one thought away.
Or you
So-
could even say one thought taken away.
One thought taken away,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So have a great weekend. Just relax, spend time the best way you can spend your time, and notice when you're busy-minded how that felt experience of life is, and notice when you're quiet-minded how that feels in life. And we look forward to see you on the next video tomorrow, and have a great weekend.
Take care.